They grew up 3 houses apart. Zoe Miller, bright-eyed, stubborn, endlessly curious. Zach Turner, quiet, thoughtful, always watching before speaking. From that day on, they were inseparable. Zoe Miller was 6 years old when she learned that some people entered your life with force. She was riding her pink bicycle to fast down Maplewood Drive, the summer air thick with the smell of freshly cut grass, when a boy she'd never seen before swerved directly into her path. They crashed. Metal clanged. Gravel scraped. Knees burned. Zoe shouted, scrambling up, "You crashed into me." The boy stood slowly, brushing dirt from his jeans. He had dark hair that fell into his eyes and a look on his face like he was trying to decide whether to apologize or argue. "You were going too fast," he said. "I was not." They stared at each other for a long moment and then, without warning, they both started laughing. That was how it began. Zach Turner moved into the blue house 3 doors down that very week. By the end of the month, he and Zoe were inseparable. By the end of the year, it was impossible to remember a time when they weren't together. They built blanket forts. They raced bikes. They whispered secrets under the stars. And without realizing it, they grew up learning the rhythm of each other's presence. How silence felt easier when shared. How laughter sounded fuller when echoed. Zach started eating dinner at the Miller house so often that Linda Miller stopped asking if he was staying. "Grab a plate," she'd say, already pulling one from the cupboard. Mark Miller liked Zach because he was polite. Elena Turner liked Zoe because she was loud enough for both of them. Robert Turner liked them together because he saw the way his son smiled when Zoe entered a room. Families blended naturally, like they'd been waiting for one another. "You're basically siblings," Linda once joked. Zach and Zoe exchanged a look that lingered a second too long. They didn't understand it then. They wouldn't for years. Friendship changed shape as they grew. In middle school, Zoe talked more, laughed louder, dreamed bigger. Zach listened, watched, remembered. In high school, boys noticed Zoe. Girls noticed Zach. Neither noticed anyone the way they noticed each other. Zach fell in love quietly. He fell in love with the way Zoe bit her lip when she concentrated, with the way she cried during sad movies and pretended she didn't, with the way she believed, wholeheartedly, that life would be good. He never said anything. He didn't have to. College meant distance, but not really. They chose the same one without discussing it. Late-night study sessions turned into early morning breakfast. Dorm rooms became second homes. Friends noticed before they did. "You know you're already married," Maya told Zoe one night. Zoe laughed. "We're just friends." Zach didn't laugh. He watched her talk about the future like it was endless, and he wondered where he fit inside it. University graduation came with caps, gowns, and unanswered questions. Josh said it out loud. "You love her." Zach nodded. "I know." It took another year for courage to catch up. Zach proposed in the park where they learned to ride bikes. "I don't remember my life before you," he said, voice shaking. "And I don't want to remember my life without you." Zoe cried the way people cry when something feels inevitable and miraculous all at once. "Yes," she said. "Of course, yes." Marriage felt like home. They worked good jobs, built routines, argued about dishes, and laughed about nothing. 6 months passed like a heartbeat. Then Zoe got tired. Then tired became weak. Then weak became a word neither of them wanted to hear. "It's leukemia." The doctor's voice echoed long after he stopped speaking. Zoe stared at the wall. Zach stared at her. "We just got married," she whispered. Zach took her hand. "We'll fight." And they did. Cancer stripped things away, hair energy, certainty, but it never took love. Zach learned how to be strong when he wanted to collapse. Zoe learned how to smile through fear. Families rotated hospital chairs. Maya cried quietly. Mark prayed loudly. Linda never left. Hope became a daily practice. "You're cancer-free." The words felt unreal. They celebrated softly, like people afraid to wake a dream. Zoe pressed her forehead to Zach's chest and said, "We survived." Zach believed it. Cancer does not always stay gone. This time, it was crueler. Zoe faced it calmly. Zac did not. "I'm not scared," she told him. "I am," he admitted. Zoe died holding Zach's hand. "I'll be everywhere," she whispered. And then she was gone. The first thing Zach noticed after Zoe died was the silence. Not the absence of sound. Machines still beeped, nurses still moved, the world still breathed, but the absence of her. Her laugh, her sighs, the way she filled space without trying. He stayed in the hospital room long after they told him he didn't have to. Her bed was empty now, sheets folded with a care that felt cruel. A single pillow still held the faint scent of her shampoo, lavender and something else he could never name but would always recognize. "I'm here," he whispered, though he wasn't sure who he was speaking to anymore. Zoe's parents arrived first. Linda didn't cry at first. She touched Zoe's hair, smoothed it back, kissed her forehead like she was sleeping. Mark cried enough for both of them. Zach stood to the side, suddenly unsure of his place in a family that felt broken open. "You're still our son," Linda said firmly, gripping his face in her hands. "Nothing changes that." Everything had changed. Rain fell the way it always did in movies, steady and relentless. Zach listened to people speak about Zoe as if she were a story that had already ended. Bright, kind, loving, strong. They didn't know how she hummed when she cooked. They didn't know how she reached for him in her sleep. Maya hugged him hard. "She loved you more than anything." Zach nodded, unable to speak. Love felt useless, no vast and heavy, and nowhere to go. Going home was worse than the hospital. Her shoes by the door, her mug in the sink, a sweater draped over the couch like she'd be back for it. Zach slept on her side of the bed. He talked to her when he thought no one was listening. "I don't know how to do this," he said aloud one night. "You were supposed to help me." The house answered with silence. Maya came over with food Zach didn't eat. Josh sat with him and said nothing, which somehow helped. Zach's parents called every day, but grief was isolating. It built walls no one else could see. They said, "She'd want you to live." Zach thought, "She's not here to want anything." Sleep abandoned him. When he did dream, Zoe was always just out of reach, turning a corner, stepping into light. He woke up gasping. Alcohol became easier than memories. 1 drink to quiet the thoughts. 2 to stop feeling. 3 to forget the shape of her absence. It was their wedding anniversary. Zach wore his ring anyway. He went to the bar because staying home felt unbearable. The bartender asked his name. Zach didn't answer. He drank like someone trying to erase something permanent. The night air was cold. Zach stepped outside. The city lights blurred and unfamiliar. For the first time since Zoe died, the ache dulled. He stepped off the curb. There was no pain, just light. And then Zach felt warmth, not physical, but familiar, like sunlight through closed eyelids. Zach. He knew that voice. Zach did not feel himself die. There was no sharpness, no fear, no sudden understanding. Just a loosening, like unclenching a fist that had been tight for too long. He stood in a place that felt familiar without being known. There was light, but it did not come from anywhere. It simply was. Soft. Endless. Kind. Zach. He turned. Zoe stood a few feet away. Not thin, not pale, not tired. She was exactly as she had been, on 1,000 ordinary days, hair loose. Eyes bright, wearing the smile that had undone him since childhood. He didn't run to her. He couldn't. "You're here," he said, the words breaking apart. She nodded. "I told you I'd be everywhere." "I wasn't supposed to be here yet," Zach said. Zoe stepped closer, her presence warm but weightless. "There's no supposed to," she said gently. "There's only what is." "I failed," he whispered. "I promised I'd live." Zoe shook her head. "You lived. Every moment with me you lived fully." Tears came, though he didn't feel them fall. "I couldn't breathe without you," he admitted. She touched his face, and the ache he'd carried since her death softened. "You loved me enough to hurt," she said. "That was never a failure." Around them, moments unfolded like reflections on water. 2 children on bicycles. A college library at midnight. A ring in the grass. A hospital room filled with quiet courage. "We had a good life," Zach said. "We had a whole life," Zoe corrected. He watched her laugh at something in the memory, and for the first time since she died, the sight didn't hurt. "Is this it?" Zach asked. Zoe didn't answer right away. There are choices, she said finally. Choices? His voice trembled. She nodded. Some people stay. Some people go back. Some people wait. Wait for what? For the people they love. Zach thought of their parents. Of Maya. Of the life that kept moving without them. I don't want them to hurt, he said. They will, Zoe said softly. But they'll also heal. Zach looked at her. Really looked. All that pain, he said. Was it worth it? Zoe smiled the way she had on their wedding day. Every second, he felt something settle inside him, knowing love had not been taken from him. It had been completed. They stood together, hand in hand, watching the light shift, not fading, but changing. What happens now? Zach asked. Zoe leaned her head against his shoulder. Now, she said, we become part of the story that stays. The light brightened. In the world they left behind, Linda dreamed of Zoe smiling. Mark felt peace for the first time in months. Maya woke with tears on her face and didn't know why. And on Maplewood Drive, a breeze moved through the trees like laughter. The world did not stop, it never did. On the morning after Zach's death, Maplewood Drive woke to sunlight and birdsong. A delivery truck rumbled past the blue house 3 doors down. Somewhere, a lawn sprinkler clicked on and off. Linda Miller stood at her kitchen window, coffee gone cold in her hands, and felt a stillness she could not explain. She pressed a hand to her chest. It's okay, she whispered, though she didn't know why she was saying it. The funeral was smaller this time. There were fewer words, fewer tears. Grief, already exhausted, had become something quieter. People spoke of Zach as gentle, devoted, kind. Zoe found him again, Maya said softly to Josh, though she wasn't sure she believed in things like that. Josh nodded anyway. Some people belong together. Linda and Mark sat beside Alina and Robert, hands intertwined across family lines that no longer felt separate. They were not 2 families anymore. They were one story. Packing the house was the hardest part. Linda folded Zoe's clothes. Alina packed Zach's books. Mark handled the practical things: documents, boxes, keys. Maya found a photo in a drawer. Zoe and Zach at 6 years old. Scraped knees, wide smiles. Bikes tipped over in the grass. Maya pressed the photo to her chest and laughed through her tears. Of course, she said. It was always them. Time passed, as it always does. The pain did not disappear, but it softened as rounded by memory and meaning. Linda began volunteering at the hospital oncology ward. Alina started a scholarship fund in Zoe's name. Mark fixed old bicycles and donated them to children who couldn't afford one. Robert learned to talk about his feelings. Slowly, awkwardly, honestly. Maya fell in love. Josh moved cities. Life continued, and threaded through all of it was Zoe and Zach's. Spoken of not with only sadness, but with warmth. They were lucky, people said. And they were right. Years later, a new family moved into the blue house on Maplewood Drive. On a summer afternoon, 2 children rode bicycles too fast down the street. They collided. There was shouting. Then laughter. A breeze moved through the trees, carrying something gentle. Love, maybe. Memory, certainly. Some stories are not meant to teach lessons. They exist to remind us that love does not require length to have depth, that grief is not proof of weakness, but of devotion, that some souls recognize each other across time and grow together until there is no separating them. Zoe and Zach lived a lifetime in the space they were given, and when the light finally changed, they changed with it together. Because love does not end. It waits. It echoes. It remains. If you stand on Maplewood Drive at dusk, when the light is soft and the world feels thin, you might hear laughter that doesn't belong to any one moment. And if you believe in things like forever, you might understand. Some love stories never stop being told.